So the sense that it was at university that you found your calling, but did you find your tribe? Did you find a place?
Uni, again, there was a lot of... I was always a bit uncomfortable hanging around with groups. I never really drunk much. So
Right.
like, and there's that funny thing with beer, isn't it? Like if you never really just sort of, if it hasn't become a rite of passage, and then you get into it like a bit older, say at university, it's not actually that nice. So I never ended up really particularly drinking beer. So I never drunk that much. Never really wanted to go to pubs much. Sitting around with friends that were then smoking weed, and so I never really did any of that. So I was just a bit of a late to all of that. So again, I had my friends, but I think the hypnotist that I saw, Martin Taylor, I think it really clicked for me, and I think part of it was the slightly kind of the feeling of control a bit, and this sort of nascent desire to perform. It was all a bit unconscious, wasn't really articulated. I think it just really ticked a couple of big boxes that I didn't really know I had at that age.
To control what and why? What?
Just to, well, and like another big part of it was being sort of, barely even closeted, but just sort of kind of not really dealing with all of that. I didn't come out till quite late.
No.
So that also, you get very good at, there's that old horrible cliche of, it's a bit outmoded now, I hope, but of the gay man being the interior decorator or the hairdresser or the fashionista and all that.
Yeah.
It's the reason why it resonates is because they're all very effective means of creating a dazzling surface, and if you feel shame about what's underneath, it's a great way of it's all about surfaces, and magic's another very good way of doing that. It's a very dazzling, deflecting surface. So I think, without realising it at the time, I think it just helped with that whole slightly uncomfortable air that I wasn't quite sure.
Why do you think that was, given that it was clearly, I know your dad was quite macho, but your mum clearly would have been very understanding and it just takes it's a silly thing to sort of look back on. I mean, actually, I don't mind it took me a while, because actually it kind of I think it, in terms of the amount of obsession and energy I put into magic, and part of that was this sort of oddly controlling, deflecting personality that I sort of had put together. I think that was very helpful. I think if I hadn't had that, I wouldn't be doing this now. So clearly,
but at the same time, the big thing about coming out is you realise, it's obviously not the case for everybody. I don't want to be too glib about it, but generally no one cares, and that's what's liberating about it. Is you realise that the things in life that you feel maybe difficult or shameful about, generally speaking, people don't care, and then all the other things feel very easy after that.
So I see a sort of subconscious frustration that you can't control your sexuality because it's something that you're uncomfortable with as a younger man, and therefore seeing this bloke on stage who could control a complete stranger is going to be very appealing. You can kind of, it's a way of creating a sort of rather superhuman aura around yourself that means you can then, you're just suddenly able to control this whole environment around yourself. Very transparent to everybody else. I don't think it fooled anyone else at all, but it fooled me for a while.